Patience, or lack of it, was sort of the theme for the day. What I'd like to do is come up with some sort of test that happens outside of the trading desk where I figure out what my patience level is like for that day, because I feel like that would be really valuable. I felt patient, but when I look at the charts in my review session here as I'm journaling, I can see that I'm not. If you have any tests, that'd be great. I noticed that I had this pen in my hand and I was gripping the hell out of it at one point, and then I noticed that and I was like, okay, that's probably something to pay attention to. So that's my standing test at the moment. Like, pick something up and then pay attention to the thing, and then pay attention to your hand and see what's going on. Maybe it's as simple as that, maybe it's not, I don't know. I learned some things on an SMB training webinar last night. I took it for the second time and I got more information the second time. It was really useful, and I was really excited to see if Twitter met the setup that I learned in the webinar. It didn't, but I still used some of the tactics that I learned on the webinar, which namely going into the pre-market and seeing what was going on there, and what kind of levels I could expect in the market. So I did use those today, so there's something to be said for that. So that was positive, even though it wasn't a setup. I was still using some new tools that I learned yesterday, which is the important thing, just making progress. Let's take a look. Down for the day, but what was really cool is, hopefully my lines still stayed. So in pre-market, there seemed to be this range of trading for this stock, Pepsi, and tons of volume. And so what I noticed is it kind of stayed in that range on the open here when there's no real trends yet, and then it broke through the range, and then it came back down, and it was kind of like playing around with it. And so when I saw that it was playing around with it, again, this wasn't a real setup. It's just I learned this thing yesterday, and I was like, I just really want to kind of use this information. And it is important to really just, as soon as you learn something, put it into action. So I had a real good entry here, in that I was watching the tape, which is another thing I was learning from SMB. And I got, when it took a dip here, I got in, and I felt confident because it was right at the line, and it was above VWAP, and I was good. And then it basically did nothing for another half an hour. And then when it did pop up, I thought it was just going to do one of these things, and so I got out. It looks like a full bar, but it looked like a tail, like when I actually got out. And so I took profits, so there's nothing doing there, nothing wrong with that. It looks like it's going to go back down into this channel. I don't know what it's going to do for the rest of the day, but we'll see. This one looked good. There's 5 or 6 bars of support right here, looking real good. It's above VWAP, above the 9-day exponential average. So when it dipped down, I was reading the tape. I feel like I'm getting better at reading the tape. It's so cool. When it dipped down and got close to VWAP, I went ahead and bought. It didn't really do anything. It was a little scary right here, but it ended up just being, if a tail crosses VWAP, no big deal, right? But so then when it shot up, I just got out. So it turned out to be a good exit point, because then it went back down and just did the same thing it was doing. I was keeping an eye on it all morning, because once I enter them over here, like these are the choices, stocks in play, and then these are the ones that I've actually put trades on, and then these are obviously the Dow and all that. So I check on all those things, and so I was watching this all morning, and then when it hit a new high, I was like, okay, it's still just gonna mess around with this line. By 11 o'clock, it's not likely that it's gonna break out. So I was watching the tape, and I was watching it just kind of go up and down, which means the sellers and the buyers were fighting it. And so I went ahead and just shorted, and then it did go down, and it went pretty hard. And I thought, okay, great, it's half of this bar. So even if it does the consolidation, it's going to go back up, that's fine, so just exit. So yeah, I ended up, I guess scalping in the same bar. I guess if I had a little more patience and waited a couple more bars, it would have gone down, but it wasn't going to go down that much. Unless, I wanted to pay attention for another hour or so, and then it's as you can see, it's continuing to go down. But there's no real setup here, so I just didn't have a lot of confidence. It was just like, just get in, get out, take some money. You're already down for the day, so let's just scalp a little. Not a great habit. Anyway, Momo, I don't know what the hell, because the pre-market stuff is way up here, and the farther you go out, it's trading real high. So when I looked at it and I said, okay, it's tanking compared to the last 2 or 3 days and pre-market. When I saw this bar, I was like, okay, it's gonna reverse at least to like half of this target, so it should have been 44.30. And I think I was watching my P&L down here, and I was down on a couple trades, and it was like it's going up and down and up and down, and it's the fighters and sellers and the buyers, and I was just like, okay, just you lost, exit. Because if you can see that tail, I lost faith right there, basically. So if you see that tail, it looked like, okay, it's going to continue down. I didn't want to get long on something that was going to continue to fall, so I was just like, just get out. But had I had a little more patience, you can see that it just took a little longer to climb. It wasn't a reversal bar, it was like a consolidation, and so I would have hit that 45.30. Again, this was just a quick scalp. This wasn't a real trade, so I just, whenever I see these kind of bars and falls, I was like, this one can bite my ass now. I need to get better at this one. So the pre-market trading was way up here, so big gap down. And so I take a look at the second bar. The first one I a lot of times just ignore. I mostly ignore it because who knows what's going to happen. That's just everybody trying to figure out what's going on. The second bar, I thought, okay, it's going to break down, because once it breaks down below the second bar, it's going to really go. So I got an order in right there, and it did, but it wasn't, I didn't really make a ton of money, which is fine, because it has everything to do with the amount of shares. But really, if it would break down past here, that'd be even better. So I was just kind of holding out, and as you can see, it looked like it was really going to go, so I didn't take anything off. I did put my stop somewhere around VWAP, but I got stopped out 2 bars later, and I thought, well, it's still a good trade. So when it started to cross that bar line again down here, I was like, okay, do it. And then it went right back up in the same bar. It got kicked my ass. Same thing. Look at the tails there. They're really fighting, the sellers and the buyers. So I took a little patience. I waited another bar. These are 3-unit bars, and then I got stopped out again. And then I lost my appetite. I was like, well, you're 150 down. You've been wrong 3 times in a row. Let go. But there's still that little nagging part of my brain that's like, it's still going to go down. Like, look at it. It's definitely below VWAP, and then 9-day exponential moving average is just going to... So it took another hour or so, and it finally did. And then it went all the way down to here. So that would have been a nice move. So I guess my lesson is, if I had a trading plan, I guess I was trading my setup. This is one of the 2 setups, or one of the 2 setups that I know and am trading actively. And so I followed the rules, and it didn't work out, and so that's okay. It was still a good trade. I feel that if I had a little more patience, I would have let this thing like breathe a little more and go. It's hard. I need that patience test. Same thing here. There was no need for me to get involved with this because the volume isn't high enough. But I've been watching it flash new high, new high, new high, new high all morning, and I was like, why is it going up? And so I thought, look at the pre-market. Well, the pre-market had this line right here, so I thought, okay, so something really interesting happened right here. So I was watching the tape, and you can see how it's kind of flowing right now. It's not moving a ton, but it is moving, and it's stuck for like 15 seconds, which is like forever when you're just sitting here watching it. And then it went, and it shot way up there in like a matter of like a second. It was the craziest thing. And in the future, I'm gonna remember that it was such a shocking thing. If the tape ever freezes, then I know something big is about to go on. So if I feel like it would be a good time to do a quick scalp, possibly. You'd have to be really fast on the draw, just like, you know, Wyatt Earp on the whole deal. But it didn't end up staying, and it didn't last long, so I don't even know. Maybe I wouldn't have been able to exit, but I'd like to think I'd be able to with my video game reflexes. But it finally went against me, and I got stopped out, so no big deal. Shouldn't have been there anyway. But so the trades that were my setups didn't work for me, so there's nothing wrong with that as long as you're trading the system and the system didn't work. That's normal for a system. It's not going to be 100%. The other ones, you know, shouldn't have been in on them, but it's part of just learning, and that's why I'm just paper trading. So actually, good day.